are live with Relaxed Retro Talk.
We did it. Yeah.
Tonight, we're talking about gaming peripherals, of which I have many, and I think everyone's experienced both the good and the bad when it comes to gaming peripherals.
It's funny because gaming peripherals, I think, had it peaked and then it crashed hard, right? So if we go from like early on, let's talk like early like Atari, NES Zapper, right? Like, you know, stuff like that. The phase gun for the Master System, right?
Dude.
So let's call that like the starting zone,
The golden age.
and then let's call like the PS. Was it the PS4 had Move or PS3 had Move? Which one had Move?
PS3 had the Move, yep, and the Wii.
Okay, and the Kinect, right? So you got like
Kinect.
That.
The
You
Move
got like
was
that
the-
over here.
The Move was good as long as you were just using it for like light gun shooters.
Correct, right? Very, very like
Niche.
the uses were very niche.
Yeah.
And so if we call this the beginning and this the end, there's this peak point where all of a sudden things just went bananas.
Yeah.
Things just went out absolutely ridiculous.
It broke the scale.
Right? Like I posted on the Facebook and up on Twitter.
Oh yeah, the mat, the track and field mat,
the NES one, and the meme was simple. It's like made for your feet, but you only use your hands. And everybody's sitting there slapping. You're playing bongos on that.
So
bad
what
boy
we did, I didn't even actually have the game, but my mom's friends' kids did or whatever. Like, you know, when you're a kid and you go to your mom's friend's house and you play with their kids, even if you don't like them. But anyways, he had track and field, and it was the only place I ever played it to this day. And he had the big fucking mat, and I don't know why it's so big because there's no way you're gonna
massive.
fit. You can fit like 12 people on there. I have never played track and field with 12 people. I've only played with me and like one other person.
Yeah, there was 8 bubbles for either side. There's 16 bubbles total.
16. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
That's like 16 divided by 2. I think that's 8. I don't fucking know. But so anyways, what we would do is we would do the regular racing, right? And we would just try to like beat all the AIs, right? So I would run on the front. We'd take turns. I'd run on the front, and he'd be on the back pads, just like. And we'd be just like just gone, man. We'd even do hurdles, like fucking the hurdles, and the AI is just like, and we're just like, just plowing through all the hurdles. Every hurdle is just like, just exploding off our bodies. It's
perfect.
the best, man.
And I mean and that's the thing. And then you play track and field and then never touch that pad again.
Yeah,
like
you played
it was a one-time thing. It was a one-time use. That was it.
Yeah, I'd like to know if there were any other games that actually worked with that.
I think there was a couple, but not nearly as well known as track and field. Like
can
track
you,
and field
can
was
you
the
use
one
it
for that.
as a
it's
controller?
It's mapped like an NES controller.
It is,
right? Like it's so. I mean, there's buttons. If you and you don't have to use the pad. You can use the D-pad. And I think if you push left, it's like push left and right or something like that.
Or A and B maybe. I don't even
something
know,
like that.
man.
And that's how you move your feet in the game. But yeah, it's just mapped like an NES controller. But
dude,
I mean.
I had a game called Double Dare. Like, you remember the game show Double Dare?
Oh yeah, I remember Double Dare.
And
Mark Summers.
After you
Mark
beat
Summers.
Yeah, after you beat all the like mini games and stuff, and you get to like an obstacle course at the end.
Yep.
And on the D-pad, you have to press left and right in order to move. So I wonder if maybe you were supposed to use the track and field pad for that.
Maybe you could use the mat for that one.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was for.
But tonight's topic is all on gaming peripherals, and so we're talking about like basically we're talking about anything that's not a standard controller.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like
yeah.
anything that's not a standard controller, because I mean we're going to kind of touch on the Wii. The Wii almost needs its own section.
No doubt.
It's just like that was its thing, man. But I mean, and I've got fond memories of the NES Zapper, but they always just surround Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley. That's it.
Yeah.
And there were so many other games, right? Like, was it Go-Go 13 used the...
Oh, yeah, Go-Go. Yeah. Dude,
right?
I played that in the arcade once.
Totally
There's like an
game.
actual like sniper.
Totally different game.
It's so good. It's so good in the arcade.
Compared to the NES.
Oh, I've never played the NES one at all.
Don't even sully that. Don't even sully that memory.
It's so cool because you can't actually like I don't know how it works because the arcade cab, if you're looking at the screen, you can't really see the guys inside the windows, but then when you look through the scope, you totally can. It's so fucking cool.
Do you know how it is? Do you want me to break the magic for you?
Yeah, tell me.
So let's rewind. Let's rewind from that moment. Let's talk about Duck Hunt. Okay, do you know how Duck Hunt works?
Yeah, it's you shoot a light bulb. Like the white square is what the light gun detects.
So when you pull the trigger, right, boom, there's the zapper. So when you pull the trigger on the zapper, okay, what actually happens is you get the gunshot flash. But that flash is actually a black screen with a white square.
Box. Yeah.
The white square is the duck. So it's a reverse image. It's almost like taking a picture. So the zapper sees the white box, and if it was aimed at it, you get the point.
Yeah,
okay?
You get the hit. Yeah.
So it's just tracking, and it's funny because we're also, when you talk about like the newest, like the Oculus Quest, the new VR things, it's all tracking. It's the exact same thing. It's just the technology has just been further advanced by 50 years, right? 40 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so going to Duck Hunt, pull the trigger, black screen, white square, you tag the duck or you miss the duck. Okay. So let's fast forward now to GoGo 13 where you're doing this, and what was it? Super Scope. And some of the other games that were in the arcade where you would look through the scope and you would see something different.
Yeah. What was that?
So you've got two screens. You've got the front screen, which is the arcade cabinet screen, which is probably just the building itself.
Yeah.
And then you've got the scope screen, which is completely different. But what the scope is doing is it's tracking on a map, okay? And when you hit the point, so the window would be mapped out, and when that scope crosses the window, the screen on the scope sees based on the screen that's on there, and you take your shot and boom, you go. Okay? So it's still the same concept. Again, it's just kind of advanced a little bit further.
Yeah.
So there was another sniper game that was pretty much the same thing. So technically, you could shut the screen off, right? Theoretically, you could shut the screen off
cover
on the other one.
Arcade cabinet screen?
Right? Because it's not through light gun at that point. Now you're just tracking. So it's just kind of a point. Now the way that it may work in the arcade may do from a light gun point of view with the glass thing. I'm not super familiar with that one, but a lot of the arcade cabinets worked very similarly, where you essentially have two screens, and it's just tricking your brain into thinking you're looking through the scope, but you're really just looking at a miniature screen. Is what's inside of the scope. It's just a little screen.
It's just another
and you're
screen
just tracking a box. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. It was fucking cool though.
Because I mean, if you were actually looking through it, you would just see the pixels on the screen on the other side.
Yeah, just burn your eyes. You'd think, right? What's the NES version like of GoGo 13 then?
Significantly worse. It's really it's hard to explain. Don't get me wrong. For an NES game, it was fine. The arcade game's significantly better. If you don't have any experience with the NES game, but you do have experience with the arcade, probably just best to leave it at that.
Okay.
Because it's just a difficult game. But the thing is, there were so few light gun games that if you had a light gun and you were someone who really enjoyed using the zapper,
you wanted to get
you were picking that up.
Yeah.
The Master System, way better titles for the light gun.
Yeah, there was some good ones.
Safari Hunt built into the system.
Yeah, dude. Safari Hunt was good. I love when you shoot the chicken and it turns into a roasted chicken. And then the bear and stuff. And
go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Shoot the bear, go.
Yeah. It's so good. I love that game. But I guess starting back on like the first peripheral, the earliest I guess peripheral that I have is the Atari Paddles. It actually came with my Atari. When I bought it, it came with the paddles and the controllers. And this was like how you played Pong, right? You turn the dial, you got more precision, you got the button on there. I would not want to play Pong with an Atari joystick because that shit is like stiff and then all the way. Yeah. You got nothing or you got everything with that thing.
Hold on. Did you have tennis, hockey, or soccer? Which one did you have?
I actually had, I think it's called like Warlords or something. And each guy has a corner, and I'm trying to show you on my webcam. So you've got like your little goal here, and then you've got like a box around it, and there's some up here too, right? And you have to move your paddle around here to protect your.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. It
was like Pong in a different kind of angle.
Yeah,
so you
can have like me and you are I'm in this corner, you're in this corner, and then we have two computer players up here, and we have to bounce the ball into their like net or hole, right, and then protect our own kind of thing. That game was actually pretty fun.
Nice.
For an Atari game.
And I got to tell you, that's interesting. I didn't actually realize that the Atari even had... I thought the Atari had a joystick, and that was it. I didn't even realize it did have accessories like that.
Yeah, that's the only one I know of, but I'm sure there's probably more.
There's got to be other ones. Well, I mean, it was a standard 9-pin adapter. Like, technically, you can take that Atari joystick and plug it into a Genesis and vice versa.
Yeah,
right?
And Master System. I've used my Genesis controller on the Master System before.
How good is the D-pad on the Master System?
I love that D-pad.
That's square, eight-direction D-pad. Yeah. So I gotta say I like it better than the NES D-pad.
Yeah, the NES
D-pad,
like
the 4-point was okay. Yes, and that was the problem with it.
It hurts my thumbs. It
hurts your thumb after a little while, and then I got soft baby thumbs. I like the rounded square.
Yeah, you definitely develop those calluses on the NES one, like those thumb. Your thumb starts to turn like a yellowish brown.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that little guy. That's my Street Fighter callus. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. But you were just getting into the Master System stuff. So a lot of people grew up with the NES. They maybe never saw the light phaser. This was the light phaser. It's a lot
much
quieter.
better than
it doesn't have that springy sound from the zapper.
I prefer that.
I don't know. I love the spring. I like this. I like this better. That sound.
The click. Just... You got the solid click. But I got to tell you, because the thing is, and the reason for it is because what you're dealing with is just the sensor button, right? So that's that clicking. That's that mechanical clicking noise. It's the same thing that's inside of a mechanical keyboard, right? The little circuit button. And so when you got good with Safari and you had all the animals up there, you were just like, and you're just taking care of it.
Safari
but in Duck Hunt, when you got to drop 2 ducks, if you don't pull that trigger down,
that's true. That's true.
You can get screwed over.
Yeah, you can get this.
You can hammer on that. You can get going pretty good. Now, obviously, it doesn't fire that fast in the game. Let's be real, right?
Yeah,
it still works the same way. Correct. But with that being said, there's no half pull, because if you go onto the zapper, if you don't open the trigger all the way, you don't get to pull that down.
Yeah,
you have to re-engage that spring every time.
I got real mad.
Yeah.
I fucking shot him.
I've been there.
Yeah. The one thing about the light phaser though is these do fuck up a lot more often.
Oh, ours was so busted.
Yeah, than
the one that we had was done. My dad actually tore it apart and tried to realign the lenses.
Oh,
right?
Really?
Because
is that what happens? Is the lenses fuck up?
Yeah, it's just wear and tear on it. It could have dust. A little bit of dust is all it takes to knock it out. Because if you remember the way that it works, right, is it's got to take the image of the screen back into it to determine whether or not you actually made the shot.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if there's dust on the lens
and anything's off,
it's toast.
It's fucking
it's toast.
Up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, the Master System had some really good ones. I remember there was Operation Wolf on there. There was a Rambo one that was really good, but the best one, and this one's the best because you can play it co-op. I think, was it called Rescue Mission?
Rescue Mission.
That one was so good.
You couldn't play it co-op like both on the same screen, or could you?
Well,
one person with the controller?
I think the one guy can control what route the guy takes, doesn't he? I might be remembering that wrong.
I can't remember.
But the other guy,
you're on
years. Like for those of you that have never played Rescue Mission, one guy is on like a little railroad track using one of those.
Cart.
Yeah, those things.
Yep.
And he's trying to get to the end, and there's people like they're shooting at him or throwing bombs at him.
There's soldiers. There's like floating bombs.
And you have to protect the guy.
I mean, it's a little ridiculous, but
you have to protect the guy so he can get through without getting killed. And you're shooting those guys off.
There's some serious strats in that, right? Like
that's a good game.
Sometimes you've got to peg. Sometimes you got to fire onto the cart to stop them, so that you can clear the screen. Did you know that?
You have to what?
So you're taking out the soldiers, okay? But if the screen gets overloaded and your guy gets hit even one time, you're dead. So what you do is you ping your cart once.
Oh, you shoot
and
the cart to slow it down?
It'll stall him out.
Oh,
so he'll go woo woo woo, and he'll just stop for a quick moment, and it gives you enough time to take out the rest of the screen.
Before he keeps moving
and then
forward.
He pushes. Yeah. Those are pro strats.
Those are pro strats.
I got it. So the Master System is one of those things that we had, and I actually didn't even realize that it was like Master System NES and Genesis SNES. Like, I didn't put that together when I was young, because nobody I knew had a Master System.
Yeah,
Everybody had a NES. Nobody had a Master System. And so we played the crap out of Rescue Mission. We played Safari and Hang On.
Yeah, they came built right into the console.
They were built into the system, which is
if
such
you don't,
I wish they would do that.
Yeah, for those
often.
of you that don't know, because like you said, a lot of people didn't have a Master System. But basically, like, you think of the NES, and you're probably thinking it comes with those games. No, if you don't put a game in the console, and you turn the console on,
the power button
you're
on.
playing, if you have the light gun plugged in, you're playing Safari Hunt. If you don't, you're playing Hang On, which is a motorcycle racing game.
Yep. And actually, our Master System, maybe there's different versions, but ours gave you a choice. So when you hit the button, it would say Safari on the top and Hang On the bottom.
That's what it was. I thought...
Or the other way around.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but if you did have the light gun plugged in and you fired it, it would go straight into Safari
I think that's
Hunt.
what I would do, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so we played that, and then we had Choplifter, Ghost House.
More like Cheap Lifter. You know what I'm saying? What was that, level 3? Fucking impossible?
Yeah, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. The only person that I've ever seen beat that level is my older brother. So, I mean, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. And then, all those, just such great games. I love the Master System. But was the Light Phaser the only one for the Master System? I'm not familiar enough with the system.
As far as I know, I had 2 of them because, like, one time one would work, and for some games the other would work. Like, I don't know.
You have to give it the old pat against the hand.
It was way more fucky than the Zapper, definitely.
That's right. And I mean, and they started phasing out. Pardon the pun. They started phasing out the pistol-looking things, right? The SNES and the Genesis. The Genesis with the Justifier would have been the last.
No, they kind of kept them going, but they started leaning more towards the bazooka. So you've got these.
Look at those.
This is my favorite light gun of all time. The Justifier.
Those are fantastic. They are fantastic.
The shitty thing about the Justifier is if you're getting a Justifier secondhand, this is something I had to learn, because I got my cousin's Justifier, and the Justifier you get this, right, and I thought, okay, I want to play Lethal Enforcers 2 with my friends, so I bought another Justifier, right. Does not work. You need to have the pink Justifier. Because the pink Justifier plugs in with a phone cable for some reason into the blue one. And then so you can still have a controller port for the Genesis controller, and then you have this. But now, thanks to COVID, instead of having friends, I just dual wield. And I feel like a badass with my pink Justifier.
Well, and I mean, and you're absolutely right. That is one of my favorite. Let's run through the guns, and then we'll come back for the other ones, because I also want to talk about like Rob and some of the other ones that are out there too, right?
But we also got this is what they moved into after the Pistons.
Right. So what is that one?
This one is the hold on, this one's a little broke. It's got some miles on it here. This is the Sega Menacer.
Menacer.
Yeah,
right.
So you look through
there you go.
Yeah. And this one, it was stupid because there were games, the majority of the games on the Genesis would work with the Menacer instead of the Justifier, so that's why I had to get one.
Really?
Yeah, like I have it's like weird. A 6-in-1 multi-pack. Kind of like, I think the Super Scope had a similar thing, right? There was like 4 games or something, you could shoot gophers and stuff. But they did the same thing on the Genesis. And I tried using I got the game because I love light gun games. Like, that's one of my favorite genres.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Light gun and arcade light gun
rail
games.
Shooters.
Yeah, that's what they're called. I always call them, like, I don't know, arcade shooters. But
they're just arcade shooters. Yeah, that's what they are.
But they I bought it because it was 6-in-1, and I was like, I want to play more light gun games. And I hook up my Justifier, and it doesn't work at all. And so I had to use this.
That's terrible.
And honestly, this is not nearly as good. Like it
really isn't.
The calibration is absolute shit on this thing.
Yeah.
But it does have, like, it's got 1, 2, 3. It's got 4 buttons, whereas the Justifier has 1, right?
Well, and I mean, that was Sega's answer to the Super Scope, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that was what it's like. It was always the same thing. Like Nintendo would have one, and then Super Nintendo or Nintendo would have one, Sega would have one, Nintendo would have one, Sega would have one. Did Nintendo have anything like the Justifier? I only remember the Super Scope.
I don't know if they made, because the Justifier is made by Konami. So I don't know if there was a there might have been a Justifier
like
on the
Nintendo pistol of some kind. I don't remember that.
I don't remember a pistol type weapon on the Super Nintendo. I do wish I had a Super Scope, because I remember playing it at my auntie's, and it's you think it's like this. Like this is more like a grenade launcher / assault rifle-y thing. But the Super Scope was almost like a miniature bazooka.
It was like
you
have it up here.
You had it up here. Yeah. I kind of want a Super Scope. That's like one thing one peripheral that I would like to get
those things though.
Oh, absolutely, especially
ridiculous.
A working one.
Yeah.
And then it's probably $1 million to get the fucking stupid gopher shooting game.
Oh yeah, and that's just it. It's not worth it. It's one of those things where it's like, I'll just watch a video on YouTube.
I'll pretend.
It'll be fine. Get a cardboard tube. I'll watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, look through the toilet paper roll.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, but the gaming systems, because they're coming under flack of violence, right? Like, I mean, where they're like, no, you can't give them guns, because then a kid's gonna take that and go and shoot things up. Like, you start seeing the tapering off of like guns, where it looks like a pistol, right? And everything about it looks like a gun. And then it immediately starts shifting over into like Fantasyland, right?
Yeah.
Because the next iterations after the Super Scope and stuff, that's where it changes. It's no longer like a gun anymore, is it?
Yeah. It's still kind of went back to being a gun, because you
got the Saturn one, I guess.
Yes, the Gun Con. I got that bad boy. I do not have a PS1 light gun. I don't remember what it looks like.
We were talking about that today. That's right.
But this
was the PS1 one has the button on the side, and it kind of looks like a. But that was made by Namco again, though. Too.
Yeah, I think that's who made the Sega. No, Sega totally made the Stunner. This is the Gun Con is what the PlayStation would use, because my PS3 had a Gun Con. I don't know where the fuck that is. I wish I would have had that for this episode, because it's actually really unique. But this is the Sega Stunner, and this is another one of my favorites, because it looks like something from like a fucking sci-fi, like cyberpunk fucking movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's heavy. Like, it's got weight.
I guess they did. Man. Yeah, so I guess they did kind of keep the pistol look. I thought they got rid of it. I thought they moved away from like it having it look like a pistol. Like, if you took that thing and you painted it black, would somebody think that it's actually a gun kind of thing? And in this case, it kind of looks like it is.
It's like a gun, but it's
like still pretty cartoony, right? Like,
yeah. It says I've never seen this. Warning: do not point the Stunner at anyone at any time. If the Stunner is mistaken for a real weapon, you can get hurt or worse. Do not repaint the Stunner. The Stunner has been colored to make sure it's not mistaken for a real weapon.
Right. So and see, that's what I'm talking about, because they had to, they being like the companies making these peripherals, had to follow these specific rules, whereas like this can't. That's why you look at, like, anytime you see a toy gun always has that orange ring on
nipple,
the end of it, right? Like
end.
And so what they were saying to the video game companies is that they wanted them to look nothing like a gun. And so that's why, like, the Justifier's pink and blue.
Yeah.
That's why it's like you've got these things like that. And then they started shifting away from that, from actually looking like real pistols, because people were repainting them. Mm-hmm. Right? They're painting them to look like real guns, because that's what you, as a kid, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I don't want to use this pink pistol.
Yeah.
I want this damn thing to be black and silver. I want this to look like a real thing, right?
Gun
like,
metal.
Guns.
Gun metal.
Right.
But this was
right.
This was hold on. I'm trying to see. Yeah, the zapper and the phaser have a little bit of weight to them. The only downside to the Justifier is this is like weightless.
It's like a plastic.
Like, there's
plastic
nothing
shell.
there, man. This feels like I'm holding something that's gonna fuck someone up.
It's got some weight.
Yeah, so this might actually be my favorite light gun.
That's pretty cool.
I play you can play like Virtua Cop. I think the first House of the Dead, Virtua Cop 2. This is the one. This is my favorite. Fuck, I wish I had the Gun Con. So I'm going to talk about the Gun Con a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what the first one was like the first two, because the PS1 was the Gun Con, made by Namco. It was for, is it Time Crisis? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Which is the one in the arcade where you push the thing down to take cover? There's like a foot pedal.
I think
that's
that
Time
is,
Crisis, right?
Yeah, it's because they needed an answer to Virtua Cop.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Virtua Cop would have been on the Saturn.
Yeah. So
that would have been that would have tracked. It might not be. Don't.
Well, I think that one was similar to the GunCon and stuff.
Mm-hmm,
and then, yeah, it probably did use tracking because you could calibrate it. So that's the difference there, right? Whereas an NES zapper and stuff, you can't really calibrate.
There's nothing to calibrate.
Yeah,
right. It's just
image. Looking at
that's why it's
what it sees.
Yeah, exactly.
But the
early versions. I mean, it's still tracking. It's just an ancient, like an old, in terms of the as it moves over towards VR,
uses.
Right? Like it is still tracking because it's taking that sample image and converting it. But as things moved on, it became more like what you were describing in the arcade, where it's actually looking at where you're pointing it on the screen now.
Yeah.
Right? It's not when you pull the trigger, the screen's not flashing and a black boxes on the screen anymore.
Yeah.
Or white boxes on the screen. Now it's actually seeing, okay, this is pointing here. I registered the shot here, and then it's going. Like, it still does that transition, but it's a lot more fluid. I don't know.
Yeah. And then, but anyways, the Stunner, or no, sorry, the GunCon 1. So the GunCon 1 was on the PS1. Namco made it for Time Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And then the GunCon 2 was on the PS2. I'm sure there were Time Crisis games on there. But it's the GunCon 3 that I had, and I wish I found it, but it's such a weird design. So it's similar to this. It's like this. Picture this, but with half a PS3 controller sticking out the side. Yes! And it has a joystick here, and then the joystick
I think I remember
here.
I think I remember seeing that thing.
Yeah.
It is weird looking.
Yes, it was so weird, but it's so fucking cool because you feel like you're in an action movie. Because it's like you're playing a first-person shooter because you have the same movement as a first-person shooter, but then you're also shooting the guys, actively shooting with the gun.
Very cool.
On screen. I'd like to find that and bust that out and stream that sometime. But it was annoying as fuck because you had to put the triangle
Sensor
of death on your screen. So you had like one in the top this corner, one over here, and then one hanging down.
Yeah.
And that's because with the old TVs, it would have that reflection, I think, is what it was. And with the flat screens and stuff, you don't get that reflection, so it can't detect shit, right?
Well, and I mean, and again, it's a transitioning into the new versions of their tracking, right? Like you see that from the Power Glove on the NES had the same kind of setup. You'd have to set those little sensor boxes up on the screen, right, and then you transfer that. You go from that into the way that the Wii works, where it's infrared, but it balances by looking at the lights in the sensor bar. Right, so it's tracking. It's still tracking, but now it's tracking to a static. I don't know why I'm doing this with my fingers. Right,
it's helping our minds.
It's tracking to those points, and that's why it's so important when you set the Wii up, where it's like, hey, is the sensor bar on the top or is it on the bottom? Because if you set it on the top, but it's actually should have been on the bottom, right? Or you do it
have it calibrated
from
to
what it is.
The wrong one.
You're actually never going to be correct because what the Wii mode is looking for is the lights from the IR sensor.
Oh.
And it's basing it on that. So it's like, oh, okay, I see. So since the sensor bar is here, I can then use the trajectory from where the Wii mode is aiming at to where this bar is to determine where it's actually aimed at. It's fascinating stuff.
And it just kept getting better and better for the most part.
Exactly. I mean, this is what eventually leads into VR. VR uses the same process. Right, when I have an Oculus Quest 2, when I put that Quest 2 on, right, you can double tap the side of the headset to look through the sensors, and it's the same thing. It's black and white, right, because it reads that UV light, or not UV light or whatever it is, infrared light, right? Yeah. And so basically that's how it determines. So when you hold your controller, which is wireless, the tracking sensors are tracking that controller and the movement of it, and how it's all going in, and where your head's looking, and how all this stuff fits together.
Your head's
and so it's fascinating to see in, you know, you call it, what was it, 1990-ish, 1991-ish, where the Power Glove comes out, to 2015 when VR starts taking off, right? That 40 years of development.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how we get there. It's crazy.
It is
absolutely crazy.
What
else? So this is where I start getting hazy when it comes to like gun-based peripherals, right?
Yeah.
Because we move out of PS1, PS2, we start moving into Wii, we start moving into PS Move.
The Wii was when
we're now in like
really
now.
got shitty, and I think the biggest reason was because of how like jank and gimmicky the Wii was in and of itself. So everyone and their dog was like making these garbage fucking peripherals for it. like I could slit my throat with this. This is the sharpest fucking plastic you'll ever see in your
That's
life.
a rough one. I had a half decent one. And I don't have any of my Wii peripherals because there isn't a point where I'm gonna be like, let's bust out the Wii.
Bust out the Wii.
That's right. And all the accessories. I had some of those plastic accessories. The one that I had was built a little bit better than that. It was a solid construction, and then when you put the Wiimote into it, right? And this was the Wii. This is where we move out of actually having
standalone peripheral.
Yeah, and we start just having holsters, right?
Yep.
And so the pistol thing that I had, it was actually solid built. You put the Wiimote in there, and there was a little thing on the front that would flip up and over top of the
Wiimote. Because we played House of the Dead.
You would have used it. You would
have
have used it when we were there. And so it flipped up over top of the Wiimote and locked it in place.
Yeah.
So then the whole thing felt solid. But still, it still wasn't really, it was just so gimmicky.
Because you're just
right?
pushing on a button.
That's
in
it.
the end
All
of the
you
day.
do is you're
like,
just...
I don't know if you guys can see in there, but it's just
pulling the trigger for you.
On the, what is it, the B button down there? I don't know what button that is.
Yep.
But the worst part is if you pull the trigger lightly, like, you've got a ways to go. Like, is where it's finally pushing the button.
Yeah.
It feels like shit. And this thing... I remember, like, playing light gun games, and you're kind of like this, right? Or whatever, when you're shooting. And I remember the Wiimote just, like, flapping out of here.
That's why you needed that latch.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You needed that latch. But, like, here's the thing. Because of the fact that now we're in a realm where it's a holster, basically.
Yeah,
it's a box,
really, it is.
Right? Now every company on the planet is making this stuff. And I don't mean just video game companies. I mean like the Dollarama is making things for this stuff. I had a set of like sports, like I had like a baseball bat and a golf club and a tennis racket and all the little
the steering wheels were the most useless. Like you literally did not need them at all. They didn't assist you in anything.
And it's like you end up with this box of plastic crap.
Yeah.
Where it's like, really, this is where we're at now.
Did you have the golf club one?
I had all of them. Because what was happening was it was cheap to pick them up, and so it was like $4 here, $5 there. It's a little plastic container, but they were so stupid.
Yeah, they were.
It was just. And so you hit this point now, and this, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you have this kind of rise and then immediate fall
right there.
Because once we hit the holster side of the house, you start asking like, why? Why am I doing this? there's no reason. Am I doing this because my brain subconsciously wants to actually hold a handle? Mm-hmm. And by the way, this concept is not gone, right? I hate to keep bringing up VR, but I'm playing this. I play this ping pong game in VR called 11 Table Tennis. They sell a table tennis handle,
that goes
adapter. That goes onto the controller, so it feels like you have an actual ping pong paddle.
You can't even see it anyways, because you got a fucking thing on your face.
It's like a feeling thing.
Oh.
And I mean, hey, and for what it's worth, if you're real serious about your VR ping pong, hey man, go for it. It sounds great. But the thing is, it's like we're still in this concept where it's like you just drop $40 on this handle for a thing to make it feel more like ping pong. Dude, just go buy a ping pong game.
Yeah.
Just go get the real thing. But I mean, to rewind a bit, the Move did the same thing, right? So you have the Move drumstick looking thing.
Yes. So I have a couple.
And then you had all the containers to stick it into.
I don't want to show the cool one yet. I'll start with the kind of basic one. This was actually good. This was actually good too. Because the reason why this was a lot better than it looks stupid as shit. I realized that it looks like like a little baby's like fucking.
Well, you know those games where you would put a foam ball into the front and then pop the foam ball out of it, right?
Yeah.
That's
to blow it up. Yeah. But the thing that makes this better than like what you'd have on the Wii is, I mean, A, it's fucking locked in, but B,
right.
A lot of the times these were actually like plugged in at the back to something.
Oh, okay.
So you're not just pushing. This isn't just pushing a button on the.
It's actually doing something.
It's actually hooked into the controller, right? And then this obviously locks it in, and it's okay. Like it's okay. It's a lot better than the Sharp Wii thing.
Still not Justifier.
Yeah,
quality.
Definitely. But you do have and then your face buttons are still exposed, right? So you can, if you want to like use that part of it. But the best one on the Move is this assault rifle.
Ooh,
this thing
boy.
is fucking cool as shit. And this one too.
Really
this
cool.
one hooks into it. Like this plugs into the back of the controller and then you've got like your buttons here. So I can actually reach the triangle and the square button with my finger. If you're left-handed, they're also on this side.
You can move through the menus without having to actually
fuck around.
Pull the controller
and then, because you had the two controllers, right? So you'd have the joystick one in here.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was probably the best one. This was probably the only one better than the what was the Namco one I was talking about?
The Joy-Con. Or the Gun-Con.
Gun-Con. This was the only one that I would say was better than the Gun-Con 3.
That one's cool.
And it has pump action to reload. I love that, man. It's just this tiny little detail.
They brought it in because once you were able to bring the arcade kind of feeling to the home, because that was the thing, and we haven't really talked much about the arcade. The beauty about the arcade ones were that they had pneumatic blowback on the
yes.
On the gun. When you play that Terminator 2 game. That's right. You had that actual like feedback on it, right?
Yeah.
There was what was the one? Was it House of the Dead where it was actually the chambers
Terminator
moving?
Remember the Terminator 2?
Terminator Uzis had that. It was like
those were the best.
Yeah. But there was the ones with the pistols where you'd actually pull the trigger, and as you're pulling the trigger, it would be moving the
Oh, really? I don't remember
guns,
that one.
I don't know guns enough. We're going into a territory I don't know much about it. But the chamber, the
slidey thing on the top.
Yeah, that would be going back and forth when you pull the trigger because it's got a pneumatic tube. It's blowing air into it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's going on? And we talked about with Time Crisis where you would step on that pedal to bring yourself down. And you pop up and pop and duck down again. Right.
Those games are so fun.
The hammer. Vinny says it's called the hammer.
That's
not quite. The hammer is the piece that hits it. I'm talking about the whole.
But maybe that is the hammer on those kinds of games.
I don't know enough to question it, so I'm not gonna.
The only annoying thing about this thing did a nice thing, I guess, is it does have there's a button here too, so if you need to use that, but it has so if you don't want to be, you can go fully automatic. I don't even know if you can see that. Yeah. So fully automatic, semi-automatic, and then one shot, right?
Okay.
So you could fuck around with that, but the only annoying thing I guess would be so I don't know because I don't fucking shoot guns, right? But this here is cool if I want to feel like a fucking movie star shooting shit, but then I can't aim without doing this. Like the sights are here. Like maybe that's how it is. Like. Somehow you can break your neck and do that.
I get the feeling with the way that was built. I'll bet you there was an add-on for a scope.
Oh, maybe.
Like I might have lost
scope. It. Maybe there's a scope that went on.
Because that looks like a channeling.
But even so, look how far my head is from the fucking eye. Yeah. Like I gotta go down here. Stick them up, bitch. Oh, and then you could also if you weren't a real cool guy and didn't like this. You could also reload by doing this. because there's a button on the bottom.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So does that thing take batteries? Or does the whole thing power up off of the controller?
I think it powers off the controller. I can't remember.
That's kind of cool.
I don't see a battery spot, but yeah,
Okay.
I do love this.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and then you can adjust, right? Like if you wanted to.
If you're just a little guy.
Yeah, just a little baby.
Nice.
Nice.
That is the primary peripheral for gaming.
Yeah,
is obviously
guns.
some kind of gun.
But
thing.
Let's talk about steering wheels and how
baby.
good and bad they can be, because sometimes you get one where I had one for it was a multi-purpose one, which is probably why it was shit. But it worked for the Super Nintendo, the PS1, and the Nintendo 64.
So it just had different ends, like different.
Yeah, it had 3 ends. It had one
controller
here,
ends on
one
it?
down here, and then one up top. So you just twist it, put it in there. And
that's cool.
I never used it on the... I guess it wouldn't have mattered on the Super Nintendo, and maybe that's why it was shit on the other two. Because the Super Nintendo doesn't have a joystick, right? So there's not like here... There's no difference between here, and here on a Super Nintendo D-pad, right? You push it to the right, your guy's going hard right.
That's right, yeah. I mean, yeah, this
you can
signal
tap
being
right.
sent
Like
is
if you're playing
the same thing.
Outrun or something on a Genesis, you can tap right so that he's not fucking cranking her, right? Yeah, but if you're pressing right, it's all the way, right? So when I use that steering wheel to play like Gran Turismo or something like that, it's like I'm tilting my arms. There's nothing. Maximum turn.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was like that.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with steering wheels. We've used a few PC ones, like the early PC ones, and they weren't very good. The best one that I had seen, my older brother had a setup for his Xbox 360, which was the Xbox 360 steering wheel, right? And it came with a set of pedals, and it had a it had a set of pedals. It had a clutch, a brake, and a gas pedal, and then the steering wheel itself had force feedback, and it had tension.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a solid head, and then it also had a gear shifter.
Because that was something that was so lost between the arcade and the home console. Because you go to like an arcade game, driving game, and you're like fucking turn when you're
fighting it.
Yes, it's the best.
Yeah.
And the whole cab's shaking.
Yeah, exactly. So this 360 one, and by the way, like we're not talking like $50 here. I think it was like $250
Holy
for the
shit.
Like it was not cheap, but I mean it was quality. It did the thing.
Yeah.
And so he had it, and you have to mount the steering wheel, right? Because otherwise it would move everywhere. So it had like a C-clamp on it. And so he mounted it on one of those like, I don't know what you'd call it, like a folding table kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So he had it up there, and he had a space for the shifter, and then the pedals underneath it. So he would sit on the couch, he would pull this thing up over his lap, and he would literally be playing. It was really cool.
That sounds awesome.
Not worth it, right? Like I'm not a racing
that's
game.
The thing. Yeah,
that's not my thing. He loved racing games, so that made sense. That 100%. But for me, that's not really my jam.
Yeah.
Right.
No
And then other than that, then my experiences with wheels were similar to what you had. Like they were typically Madcatz brand.
Yeah,
like,
I think
they were
that's
never,
what that
like,
one was.
They were never real like official branded things. And so it would always be the same thing. Like you would use it once or twice, you'd be like, "Oh, cool, I'm racing," and 30 minutes later, you're back with the controller.
Yeah, it's better.
Because you're just smashing into walls. You're just not ever doing anything ever. It's just garbage.
But now that you mentioned, as soon as you said that the one your brother had was mounted, now that you mentioned that, I do remember like you'd go to turn and the whole fucking thing would lift off.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
like
the shifter was, I think, just up and down on the D-pad, so it's like it worked with like 0% of the games I played. But it did have buttons on the steering wheel, but it was fucking awful.
Some of the better steering wheels had flip-out panels, and then it would raise, so you would put your legs into there, and your legs would
I think the Genesis had one of those where it would like it would like straddle your legs kind of, right? So it's
you would kind of put your legs into it and then sit down, and that would be what holds it in place.
Yeah,
but it wasn't
the same.
It's not the same. The thing is, like, look, like even with the way that Jason had his set up, right? It's still not like in the arcade when you get into that cabinet and you sit in that racing chair. Like it's a completely different experience. It's not the wheel. It's everything. Yep. It's the big screen in front of you. It's the sound all around you. It's the vibration of the cabinet as you're moving. Sega was the best when it came to that type of a game.
They went all out with everything they did.
Always.
Like even what was the fucking helicopter one? Hydro Thunder? Not a Hydro Thunder. No, something Thunder. But anyways, you had you were in a helicopter cockpit and you had the joystick and fuck me, man. I wish just like the shitty 80s arcade games, even that coming back would be enough for me.
Well, I mean they did the Star Wars one, right? They did the cockpit for the Star Wars one. They did the what was it? They had Hang On with a motorbike.
Right, I did play that one. You're like it's like the crotch rocket. You're actually like on a motorbike. Yes.
Yep. They had the Outrun, obviously.
Yes.
Right.
Which I never, to this day, have played in arcades. I've never played Outrun.
Oh, really?
It's one of my favorite racing games, and I've never played Outrun
never
in the
actually
arcade.
done in the arcade.
I've only played Initial D, which I love in the arcade as well.
Oh, that's a good one. Initial D was good.
Yeah.
The other one too, not a Sega game, but what was it? The Cruisin'? Was it
Cruisin'? There's Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World. There was a whole bunch of them.
I think those ones were really good.
Yeah, I have played those in the arcade as well.
And I mean, a lot of those racers were just fantastic. But I mean, yeah, Sega had it down when it came to
early too. Like in the 80s, they had these huge cabinets where you felt like you were driving a fucking car.
And the whole thing moved, and I love it. I love that aspect of things. One of the other things I wanted to talk about when it came to like with the consoles itself, just to kind of go back, there's a lot of stinkers.
Yeah.
The thing about peripherals is like I said earlier, they were typically released by non-licensed groups, right? Before we get into some of those bad ones, I did want to say, like, you know, the NES had quite a few. The NES and then the Genesis. The Genesis was Peripheral City.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you had Rob, which was like you play Gyromite. And
you're better off just grabbing a controller to control the robot instead. It's so bad.
So bad. Super Nintendo, you got the Mario Paint mouse.
Oh, that was really good. That one was really good.
Mario Paint was fun for 1992.
Yeah, I literally only. But I mean, I was a stupid kid. Like everyone else was like these fucking phenom geniuses, prodigy kids making music, making art, and nobody hey guys, I'm gonna play the fucking Fly Swatter game for 12 hours.
Fly Swatter game all day long.
That's all I did.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like honestly, I don't think anyone was as good as what you see. You see out there now, you got like composers making music with the music thing. As an 8-year-old kid, the best you had was the stamp on the coloring page.
Yeah.
And the SWAT the Gnat game.
Yeah, that's all I played.
That's about it.
100%.
Yeah. And then as you move into the Genesis, can you consider like the 32X and the Sega CD peripherals? Technically,
not really. They're more like a micro console.
The add-ons,
yeah.
Right? But I mean, once you step away from the guns, there was what was the one that was it the Activator where you're standing on the platform?
I think it was called the Activator. Yeah, it was like a ring. Man. You put it on the floor.
Yeah.
And I think it's supposed to detect your height,
punching,
to tell if it's a punch or a kick, but none of it worked.
Terrible.
It was just awful. I remember seeing it in like magazines and wanting it so bad.
Yep.
And
there was the Sega Channel was also there. That was like the first shot at like multiplayer, like online multiplayer.
Yeah, well that was the only way you could play Mega Man Wily Wars.
Oh, okay.
In North America, and the Sega Online thing, it didn't last long at all.
No, not at all.
There's also a Zelda game
Sega was good
on
with that.
because the Super NES did the same thing, and there's actually a lost Zelda game that was on this Satellaview, I think it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called BS Zelda. It stands for like broadcast or some shit Zelda.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's just interesting.
And it's a Link to the Past graphics, but Link has like a little backwards hat on, like he's you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's a cool Link.
Yeah. I mean, you can find ROMs of it. Somebody somebody was generous enough to have ripped it somehow back then, or had it on their cart. Because how those worked a lot of the times was you'd be given a cartridge, and then you'd put the cartridge in, and it would write to the cartridge when you downloaded it, and then it would, like, in order to play the next game, you would have to wipe the cartridge and then download the next game onto it, right?
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Some legendary guy out there was able to, like, actually, like, rip the ROMs and keep the cartridges that he had.
Oh, cool.
And so that's why you can still get the ROMs nowadays.
Cool. Huh. No idea. And then as you move into I think as you move out of the Super Nintendo Genesis era, you move more into, like, I think the PS1, the Saturn, the N64. There really wasn't much for much for peripherals
not nearly
there.
as much.
I mean, once you take the guns out, right?
Yeah,
Once you take those out of the picture, there's really not that much until you get to the Wii era.
Well, PS1... No, not PS1. Xbox had some crazy shit. Like, remember Steel Battalion? Did you ever play Steel Battalion?
Yes, and that's what I was getting at.
Holy shit!
Oh, man. So $250 is what it cost back in the day. If you could find it on the shelf.
Yeah.
It was $250. But that thing was, like, literally a mech.
You're a cockpit. Yeah, it's like all around you.
A mech cockpit.
And the games are impossible to play because the controls are so
ridiculous.
fucking complicated.
Just beyond ridiculous.
I played it at I can't remember who. One of Finney's wife's friends in Saskatoon.
Yep.
And oh my god, the anticipation was way more than the payoff because it's so hard to play. Real. It's so hard to play. I could never. You need to actually go to school and become a mech pilot in order to play the fucking game, I think.
That's right.
But it was so cool, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the concept of it, right? And it's too bad that it flopped, right? Because if you think about it, what that could have eventually, what that could have turned into if people really bought into it was an at-home arcade, like the cockpits that we were talking about, right? So the ones that Sega's put together. Can you imagine if that company's like, okay, well, here's a motorbike in a box,
yeah,
right?
No doubt.
Set this up, and away you go, and you can do your thing. Like, it's kind of crazy how they took a gamble and they lost is what happened,
unfortunately,
because it just didn't work out for them. But I mean that's what I'm talking about is so the Xbox, the PS2, and the Wii are out. And then all of a sudden the accessories come flooding back, and we kind of talked about the Wii having like the chambers, right? When you got all these different things that go into it, controller. Right? Yeah, but I mean you got the flight yokes were a big thing too,
what was that?
Right at this point where it's like it's not a joystick, but it's like a joystick with like a throttle.
Oh yeah,
right?
Finney had one of those for one of the flight simulator games. He had like a big fucking setup. That was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, flight yokes were big on the PC.
That's what
up to this point. But this is kind of the point where they start coming out onto console, right? Not a lot, but as you go from this point forward, then you start getting into the console stuff again, right?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we see the two merge. You see the PC no longer in its own channel, and then console over here. We start seeing the games being created. For the PC and then being released across. So the consoles eventually turned into a computer.
Basically, yeah.
What happened, right? And so you've got now this whole plethora of things to draw from, which kind of changes it again. And then we have the dawn of there's two different game types that create a limitless amount of peripherals. Can you guess what I'm thinking of right now?
No, I don't know.
Genre number 1, music rhythm games.
Oh.
Genre number 2, quiz games.
Oh, the buzz button. I remember that.
There was buzz and there was
every pawn shop, man.
Everywhere. Yeah. Boxes and boxes and boxes of quiz game stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, here's all the buzzers you could ever want, ever.
Yeah. I didn't even... I'm glad you brought that up, because I never would have thought of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, those games are fun to play in, like, a party setting the one time you play it. And never again. And that's it. Then you never touch it again, right? And then music rhythm games are in the exact same bucket. Right. Because you have the Guitar Hero games.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
And then the Rock Band games, right? And then all of a sudden Guitar Hero's like, well, crap, let's start releasing band versions of Guitar Hero. So then you've got Beatles Guitar Hero and Van Halen Guitar Hero and all of these other things.
And then it got oversaturated,
right?
And then they just stopped making them altogether.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I mean, so you have kind of the peak of these two things, right? We've got the bongos for Donkey Konga.
That was the best. I remember skipping school to go to Chad's house and play Donkey Konga.
That's right.
All you play is like the mighty boss tones. Knock on wood.
That's right. Yep. Someone in Chad had brought up the microphone for the Wii, and that's another one too.
Oh, my sister had a mic for the PS2, so you could play like karaoke games and shit.
We do karaoke games. This it mentioned WarioWare, and then Mario Party 6 or 7, whichever one was on the GameCube. That one used a microphone.
Oh, really?
And some of the mini games you'd use
I
a
did
microphone
not know that.
for. It's the same crap. It's just more crap is what it is, because it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
What they were doing, they were just throwing everything out at this point, trying to see what sticks.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got this limitless supply of like, okay, here's a
Plastic.
plastic guitar.
Limitless.
Right? And
there's an over surplus of plastic. We need something. We need to do something with this. How about you make the sharpest light gun attachment you can come up with?
So they just started. All of a sudden, we have this avalanche of crap. Right? Mm-hmm. Every single Scenic game came with a pack of 4 controllers. That's how they sold you the game. So it's like now you've got 16 of these friggin' buzzer controllers because you bought 3 of the Scenic games.
Have you actually ever played one of those? I've never actually played one.
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, we played them in college because those were the party games at the time, right? Like right now do you know why there's no accessories? I'll show it to you right now. Hang on a second.
He's pulling something out of his butt.
This is why there's no accessories. Because instead of giving you an accessory, I'm just going to use my cell phone. I'm going to connect my cell phone to the game, and there you go. Now I don't need an accessory anymore. I just have to build an app that works with the phone.
Yeah, that's
You talk about these Jackbox games? Boom, connect with my phone.
Yeah, no shit.
Now the phone is my controller, and I don't have to actually build the accessory. I just get to charge you for it because we built the app.
Yeah, fuck.
Right? And so that ends up being where we kind of land with it is that the rise and the fall of these accessories. Like I said, the VR headsets use accessories too.
Yeah.
It's just a never ending. Like they're just finding new ways to kind of use it. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, they have a place. When you like you said, you like playing those rail shooters.
Yeah.
There is no way the game you're playing right now. If you were using a light gun, different experience. If I
had a light gun, it would be even better.
Completely different experience at that point, right? But I mean, the thing is that because you don't, and you're using that D-pad to kind of move a cursor around the screen, it gets kind of annoying, right?
Yeah.
Like, so in those moments, you're like, man, I wish I had this. It would be so much better if we had it this way.
Absolutely.
The House of the Dead rail shooter for the Wii, probably my favorite Wii game that I have.
Yeah, same here. I think
because
it's so
because
fun.
It's got that arcadey feel.
The one thing with the Wiimote, like as much as these, I can't even find that sharp piece of shit now. But the one thing about those attachments though is when you're using the Wiimote as a gun, it is kind of awkward because you're holding it like this instead
of
like
a remote.
This, you know? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
One thing.
Yeah, having the handle changed it. That is for sure.
One thing that was cool though, and it was kind of cool, but it also kind of worked against the controllers, like the add-on controllers. There was one of the Call of Duty games. I think it's like Call of Duty 2 or 3 or something on the Wii. It used the gun controls. It used the motion controls as a light gun, and then your joystick was your movement and shit, right? But it was cool unless you were using a gun attachment, but to use the bazooka, you would actually take your Wiimote and you would go like this and fire. That was cool. To shoot.
Like flip it upside down.
Yeah, and I don't know how it still was accurate, but it was. But it sucked if you had a gun, because then you're like, fuck. You had to slide it under your gun and like put it on your shoulder. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Well, and I mean, and the thing is that there's the Wii is funny because it that port that's on the bottom of the controller. because you had the classic controller that you would plug into the Wiimote.
Bottom.
You had the nunchuck that you plug into the Wiimote, and then you would have third-party ones. And I had a GameCube style controller
that plugged into the bottom of it. Really?
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, so you would use that for Smash Bros.
Oh,
right. Anytime you're playing Smash Bros, if you're not using a GameCube controller, apparently that is the controller of choice for Smash Bros.
Yeah, but mine, I would just plug my GameCube controller directly into the Wii, right?
Yeah, you could do that, but there was
which I guess is
the third
peripheral too, I guess.
And you know what? Maybe that is how it was. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. Maybe it didn't plug into the Wiimote. But I mean, as far as it goes, yeah. I think actually you're correct. I'm remembering that incorrect. It didn't plug into the Wiimote. It plugged into the console. It was no. I'm thinking of it for the Switch. The way that it works on the Switch is it's all wireless now.
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know. It's still GameCube controller, which is the weirdest.
Yeah,
that's a different story.
a Sonic the Hedgehog one.
Oh, there you go.
It's just USB.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
It works good.
That's so funny.
But yeah, there's also like we were saying, there's also those shit controllers, right?
Oh yeah, the Madcatz,
or the Hip Gear, which is
gear.
I think a level shittier than the Madcatz.
It's a Madcatz ripoff.
But look at that extra grip. Look how it's so uncomfortable. Why is that there? It does not land where you think it would land at all. It's
I was saying to Duke off before we got started here. One of my first PS2 that I ever bought, I bought off this girl, and it was literally just the PS2 and cables, no controllers, no memory cards.
She might have been a crackhead.
and so I was like 12 or 14 or something like that, and I needed a controller, and the official PS2 controller I think was $40 or $50.
Yeah, I think it was like 50. Yeah, PlayStation's always been bad for that.
Yeah, and so I was like, whatever, and so I went to Walmart and I just bought like the Madcatz one. And I don't think it was Madcatz. I think it was something else. But the controller was like big. It was like big like this. And I remember the grips kind of went out more than, like the PS2 controllers are almost like straight up and down. I thought I maybe had one handy, but I don't.
Like a PS2
but I mean,
one?
Yeah, like there you go. Okay, so like if you hold it straight here, right? Do you see how like the grips basically point mostly straight down? They don't go way out to the side, right? And this one here, they went way out, right?
Really?
And so I was like, well, I mean, whatever, it works. That thing had so much rumble in it that if you weren't holding it properly, that it would slip out of your hands. and it rumbled so hard that the buttons would rattle. Like it had this intense, like just super, super, super strong rumble to it. And but it was still a really good controller until it finally just short circuited and died. Right? Like it just, because I mean it's just this crappy, like it was like a $10 remote at Walmart, right? But I mean, yeah, and then everybody had the Madcatz controller. That would be the one that you share with your buddy.
Your friend has to use the Madcatz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, I get the good one, you get this one. If you want to play, man, you can, but you're gonna have to do it with this one. And it's like all mangled up. And I think I watched a video someone had made once where it was like, you got to use the Madcatz controller, and it's got like, it's like partially broken. There's circuitry on it.
Exposed
it's like
wires.
The controller's all frayed, right? Like. It's ridiculous.
This one's awful.
Man.
Like the buttons, I can like move around. Like the hole for the button is way bigger than the button, and if you can hear like the buttons.
Oh yeah, I can hear
around.
it.
And the L2 man. And R2. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that clicking.
It's horrible, man. I had to use this for like a long time because I would wear out. I'd play so much like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest 8 that my fucking buttons would give out on my controllers, and so I'd have to get my dad to take it apart, and all he'd do is spray like not A535 WD-40.
Yeah,
loosen up the muscles. He'd put some A535 on the circuits. He'd
some Tiger Balm in here.
Need a little Tiger Balm. He'd put just WD-40 on it to clean the contacts and then put it back together.
Yeah.
But until he had time to do that, I was stuck with this piece of shit. and it's awful. It's fucking terrible.
It's just terrible.
Oh, and the you know how the PS2 and even PS1 DualShocks, it's grippy up here.
Yep.
Yeah, this just has the illusion. It looks grippy. They etched things into it to make it look like rubber. It's hard plastic. It's the slipperiest shit you'll ever feel. It's fucking awful.
They take the time and effort to do texture on the plastic.
Yeah, the hard
thumbstick,
slippery plastic
to make it look like that. But because they were in clamshells, weren't they? It's not like you could touch the controller before you buy it. Right? It's in a clamshell, so and it's non-returnable. So you open that thing up. Yep, here you go. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
And then one other peripheral that was really important in the before you had like the PS4 and PS3 and stuff was the multi-tap.
I was thinking about talking about the multi-tap, but I didn't know if that really counts as a peripheral. But I mean, it absolutely does, right?
Yeah.
Like the PS1, we had the official multi-tap for the PS1.
The
you know, the boomerang looking one, right? And we would use that to play wrestling.
Yeah,
we
that's
played this
all
game
we
called
used it, was
Shipwrecked. Shipwrecked. Way back in the day, it was this pirate ship game. It was just a battle royale with like.
Oh yeah, you showed me that
super
game.
Fun.
Yeah.
And so we would do all these multi-tap games. I had never heard of what a friggin' multi-tap was before, and it was like, well, no, it lets you play, 4-player games, right?
Yeah.
So technically 5 if you plug in the back one, although that only worked on some games.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, really cool.
This one here was actually for the TurboGrafx 16. It's the Turbo Tab. And this was why people would buy a TurboGrafx just for this, because you could play Bomberman with 6 players.
So cool.
Yeah, it's the only way. And then the N64 came out and blew everyone's mind because there was 4 right out of the get-go, right?
They were like, you don't need a multi-tap here.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to sell me on it though.
No, the N64 was not great.
The N64 and the Xbox both went for ports in the front.
Oh, did the
Xbox also
have
had 4
4
ports
as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could do 4.
And then the GameCube did, but
4-player. Yeah. Then Nintendo actually didn't. From the 64 on, it always had at least 4 controller ports until it went wireless, and then it was.
I heard that the
I think even.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say. I think even on the Switch, on the Wii U and the Switch, I think you can do 6 and 8 players.
Oh, okay.
I think you can do 8 players on the Switch for Smash Bros.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure you can do that.
Because I was gonna say I heard rumors, but I don't know because like you said, controllers were like $50 to $60 fucking dollars.
Oh, they're expensive.
On the PS3, I remember hearing you could have seven different controllers. And I don't know if anyone's ever done that or tried that, but I'm assuming just like with a multi-tap, the only game you'd really use it for is like wrestling games.
Yeah. I can't think of a game, to be perfectly honest with you, outside of Smash Bros. I can't really think of a game that I'd ever have more than 4 people playing at the same time.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
Mario
like
Party maybe, but it would take forever.
But I mean, like the PS4 had that built into you know, you have the different colors on the DualShock for whatever player it was, right? But to be perfectly honest with you, by that point in gaming, couch co-op's mostly dead.
Unfortunately,
couch co-op's mostly gone by this point in the game. You know, like now we're mostly online. I gotta tell you, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times that I've had both my PS4 controllers going at the same time.
Yeah, I usually just tell you guys to bring your own because half the time mine are like not dead.
You don't need it.
Dead. I have a couple, but they just don't charge because they're not used enough. Right?
You don't need it because I mean, once online gaming came on, it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of toast.
I think the worst part,
which is too bad.
Yeah, I think the worst part of it is when you have online multiplayer in like a co-op game, but don't have couch co-op as well. That's what I don't like. I feel that's kind of greedy because they kind of just want you both to buy the game.
Yeah.
And then you got devs like I don't know who the dev is, but they made A Way Out, and then they made It Takes Two, which is their newer game.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Where you can just literally, like me and Finny, we played it couch co-op. But what I could have done if Finny wasn't able to come over, they actually let you give, like, a free copy to your friend while you're playing.
The friend pass.
Yes. That is the coolest shit. We need more companies like that.
We do. Yeah. I mean, I'm all in on those kinds of games. The thing is, and I mean, we played Phasmophobia. It was the same thing. I'm not playing Phasmophobia for the game and the ghosts and the scariness of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm playing Phasmophobia because it's a group of friends that we can run around and be idiots and we can do stuff with, right? It's the social aspect of the game that I like, not the actual game itself.
That's like
so,
a lot of
the content with
modern
anything.
Party games now. Like even what the fuck was that one? It came and went so fast. The game show one. What the fuck was that?
Where you have 1 versus 100?
No. That one was fucking cool back.
That was fun.
That was a super cool concept back in the day, because you never heard of anything like that happening.
Yeah.
That was Xbox Live exclusive, right?
That was Xbox Live.
Yeah, I never played it, but I just remember you guys.
And you could win real prizes.
Yeah, that's so cool.
They give you games and stuff. Yeah.
But I'm thinking of it's on PS4. You're like,
was that Fall Guys?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Fall Guys. Yeah.
It's like
Jay Sheely said that in chat. Fall
Guys. It's like games like that where it's like it's fun to play kind of with your friends, but it's not really fun on its own at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's where I'm at with online gaming right now. Honestly, where I'm at right now, I would rather pick an old game up and play that old game solo than I would to go online and play with random people.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that 9 times out of 10, every once in a blue moon, you're going to get somebody who's awesome playing those games with. And most of the time, you're going to get people that you just want to be like, this is why I don't play online games anymore. Because it's just filled with people who just want to ruin the experience for you. Right? They're either too try hard, or they're just there to be annoying, and they're just yelling on the microphone and stuff like that. It's just like,
that's me, dude. I used to play. Remember when Modern Warfare was like the biggest game ever, like Call of Duty 4?
Right. Okay.
I would get in with like all these sweaties, and I'd spawn, and I would have a rocket launcher, and as our team spawned, I would shoot the rocket launcher at the floor and kill most of us and damage the team out. Yeah, people would get so fucking mad. I used to do it all the time.
Just trolling the room.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd probably be pretty pissed off. You're one of those people. I'm like, this is why I don't play online games anymore.
Yeah, but I feel like where they really missed the boat is beat 'em up games. Like Streets of Rage 4 is like one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played, and the online co-op is really well done. Like I don't know why right now the beat 'em up genre isn't fucking exploding.
It should be, and especially the indie side of things, right?
Yeah.
How good was Double Dragon Neon?
It was so much fun, dude.
Right? And I mean, and the thing, they remade the Ninja Turtles in Time. They remade that arcade game. And I think they pulled it away from licensing. Yeah. I think it was a licensing thing. They ended up pulling it.
But this new Turtles game could turn the tide. It could
Shredder's Revenge?
It could bring the second coming of beat 'em ups.
Oh man. I hope so. I'm ready.
I thought Streets of Rage 4 would do it because it is the best beat 'em up game I've ever played. It's so fucking good. It takes everything about the previous ones, it just builds on them. It even makes points matter again, because to unlock characters, you have to get points, and you can turn the difficulty up, and if you turn the difficulty up, you get more points, or you could just grind it out like I do, play it on normal or easy, get through the game a couple times, get more points. It's the coolest shit. You have special moves that don't drain your health, because that was the dumbest shit ever in beat 'em up games.
That was so brutal.
You'd get temporary. So how that worked in 4, you'd use your super move, and you've got your life bar, and then you'd have like this green life bar appear, but as you hit guys, it would just go back. It would refill your life bar. So you kind of have a special move that uses life, but you can earn it back. Okay. As long as you don't get hit right away. It's such a good game.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, I got to check that one out. I mean, the thing is that the one thing that those beat 'em up, if you are going to be online, they have to make it so you have a constant connection. Because there is nothing worse than playing those games with even the tiniest bit of lag. Right? So they have to do it so that it loads on your side and loads on their side separately, right? That I'm not connecting to you and you're not connecting to me. because if there's even the slightest little bit of delay and I hit that punch button, but I'm the one who gets hit instead, I'm done. I'm out.
Especially at bosses.
Because then you get frustrated.
Bosses,
yeah, you get frustrated and quit because it's you have to be mindful of basically ensuring that you have got the timing down. Because that half a second makes a massive difference if you are off just a little bit.
That's like fighting games too. Like, I don't know how people can play fighting games online because I just get fucking pissed off because there's any bit of lag and it's like I might as well just not be playing the game right now.
Absolutely.
Because it's just dirty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think we've covered pretty much as we can right now with peripherals, unless there's anything you can think of off the top of your head that we might have missed.
I mean we covered a lot of ground. I mean, we didn't really talk about the DDR mats either, right? Because I mean, there's that too. And I mean, and there's kind of all of those kinds of things too. But I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of all just along the same lines. I got in chat. First of all, I got a raid. Thank you very much for that raid. I really appreciate it. Welcome in. Jay Sheely brought up, have we talked about the Kinect? And we did bring up the Kinect, but we didn't really talk about it. The thing is that starts kind of the trajectory into VR, right?
Yeah.
Kinect was that kind of weird middle step where you got the augmented reality. So you do the augmented reality and then you go into the virtual reality piece, right? The problem with Kinect was that standing in your room doing this is not that's not fun.
No.
The same way with the Wii Waggle,
Wasn't
not
fun. Yeah.
That's just motion controls is not fun. Now when you go into VR, that's a completely different experience, right? Because the thing is, now we're actually disconnecting from being sitting in front of that TV with a controller playing it to actually leaving the environment completely. And then now, motion controls is a little bit different.
And your movement's one-to-one as well, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I'm playing that ping pong game, and it matters when I swing hard and when I swing light, that's different than me doing I'm playing ping pong and Kinect like this. I mean, it's just,
Pet the tiger.
It's gimmicky,
dude.
Right? When you do the gimmicky thing, I kind of step out of that picture a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of like when I hear about like PS Move and Kinect and the Wii and the Wii U and all of these other things, and it becomes gimmicky. That's pretty much one of the main reasons why I almost didn't get the Switch.
Yeah.
They almost lost me. I picked up on the Wii U and I was like, really? Is this where we're at from a Nintendo console point of view?
That was
now
really
the new
bad.
one is just the Wii U, but it's portable? No thanks. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I jumped in on the Switch because it actually completely redeemed the last
I think so.
Nintendo console.
And I'm a Nintendo hater and I love the Switch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Switch and the games make a pretty big difference.
Yeah, this is true.
There's a good catalog in there. But I mean, other than that, I don't really have much else.
I guess you could talk about all the 98 add-ons on the Game Boy, like when you could, like you could turn it into a fucking tank.
I briefly mentioned that in the Facebook thing, like so I mean,
you've got like your
that's a good
screen
point. So you've got
2 speakers.
It's
like a Megazord, man.
It was basically a Megazord. So you got your Game Boy. Okay, so here's your Game Boy, and then you've got the speaker add-on. So you plug that into the headphone thing. So you got these big speakers. Then you put the magnifier over top of it. You put the light underneath it, right?
Yeah.
You put the joystick and the button thing on the bottom. Right, because now you're not using a D-pad anymore. No, we need a joystick to get those extra.
Joystick ever.
That's right. Because when those A-frames disappear, baby, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? I gotta tell you, and then the battery pack on the back end.
That one was actually useful. Right? It was gigantic, but
they were all useful in their own way. Except for the joystick, but I mean, I gotta tell you. Then all of a sudden, now I'm playing Game Boy like this.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, it's Game Boy time.
It just makes me like, I'd love to make a video of like it, like you know the Power Rangers Megazord music, where it's like, and it's like, like all the parts fucking coming together to form the fucking Megazord Game Boy.
Oh man. Go Game Boy Rangers!
Yeah, all these fucking parts. God.
That would make a really good video. You'd be like, it's like, oh, how am I gonna beat this next level in Super Mario Land? Wait, it's morphin' time.
We need Megazord power.
We need.
And then I guess the only other thing I could think of is like the shitty Game Boy Advance light, because Game Boy Advance still wasn't backlit, and you couldn't see shit because either you had the light above it and all you could see in the screen was the light,
that big light spot,
or you had to tilt it back so you couldn't really see the screen at all. Anyways,
I got really good, and I mean it could have been just the light. We had the glowworm lights, right?
It's like a spiral, right? Yeah.
I must have got really good at positioning it, because I could find that sweet spot where you would turn the head of that light a little bit and tilt it back just enough that it would illuminate the screen, but it wouldn't shine the bulb right in the one. You would have the bulb, but it would be off like on the corner, so you would be all right. You could work around that.
Yeah.
But then now you can mod them and put a backlight
and actually
into
put a light backlight. I mean, I just used my Game Boy Advance SP.
Because the OG Game Boy Advances were actually pretty good from a screen perspective.
Yeah, they are.
Right?
Yeah,
like the quality of the screen and stuff like that, they just don't have a backlight.
And then
right?
you're
the SP is probably my favorite of the Advances.
But then you're like, you get the light just right, and you're like this, and you're playing, and then you're like,
yeah.
And then it's like, fuck, now you spend an hour readjusting the light again.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, the whole handhelds is a whole nother ball of wax. I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah.
Right? There's just so much when it comes to that. I mean, if you want to talk even like things like carrying cases, right? Or additional things like
case.
Yeah. Yeah, the Game Gear had like a Blockbuster Video style case, right? Like it was that foam nylon outside with a foam on the inside, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it has to be at least 6 feet long in order to cover the AC adapter and the Game Gear itself. The big AC man, that thing was like the size of your hand.
Yeah, it was like the
that
size
thing was just
of
a
the
beast.
Game Gear, basically.
It was a beast of an AC adapter.
But anyways,
absolutely,
guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on Spotify, thank you for listening. You can find both of us on Twitch at it's on the screen up here. But if you're listening, I'm at twitch.tv/Dukey03.
And you can find me at twitch.tv/DGonline. You can also find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, the Luminaries of the Live Stream.
Yeah.
Search us out. You can find us on there and join the crew.
Absolutely. And
posting memes, all kinds of cool stuff.
Posting memes and living dreams, baby.
Living dreams.
And then you can find this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dukey03. So if you want to watch the video version and you were listening to this on Spotify, check out that as well. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you very much. Have a great one, everyone. See you later. I could also talk out this side of my mouth over this side.
Like an anime character. Oh, no!
Oh, no! What are you going to do?
Pikachu! I choose you!
No, Pikachu, no! We've officially gone off the rails. We haven't even fucking got started yet.
Yeah, we should record these fucking stupid shit we do before we start the podcast, because it's way probably better than the actual podcast.
Like the credits to the podcast is just us going poop, poop, poop in the bum, poop, poop, poop in the bum, poop, poop, poop in the bum,
poop on my thumb,
poop, poop in the bum,
poop on my thumb.
poop, 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 poop,